What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Sports as we are one day away from kickoff from Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys for the start of the NFL season. We still have Phillies to talk about after the very weird day off yesterday. We're back tonight, Phillies Brewers, and the Phillies do drop this game by a score of 6-3, and we do need to have a serious discussion about Aaron Nola because once again he was not good in today's game. Did not record a single out in the first inning before allowing 5 runs, including a 3-run shot to give the Brewers a 5-0 lead. And that's basically where Milwaukee ran away with the game. Phillies, they tried to make a fight back, but realistically, this is not me giving the offense a break tonight. But when you instantly go down 5-0, when your starting pitcher does not record a single out before it becomes 5-0, it does have to be very demoralizing for that dugout. Now, granted, they were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, if I'm not mistaken. Bryce was like 0 for 3 in those situations as well. So I'm not taking it all away from the offense. The offense did have a chance to come back into this game, especially after Weston Wilson had an absolute fucking bomb to make it a 6-3 game. You did have the tying run at home plate a couple of times in, I believe it was that 7th inning after Wilson hit that 2-run shot. Trey Turner got on with a walk. Kyle got on with a walk, then Bryce grounded into a fielder's choice when he was the tying run at home plate, and then JT was the tying run at home plate. He ended up striking out in a very pathetic at bat. So it's not all on the offense, but I'm not taking it away from the offense either. But I think this game is more on just the state of Aaron Nola than not. Just because if we look back to Monday's game, look back to that win, they went down early. It was 4-0, then it became 4-1, then it became 5-1, and then eventually you fought back and you just kept fighting back punch per punch, and you ended up winning that game. What was it, like 10-8 or something like that? It was a very good win. It was a very fun win, but that's not sustainable. When you're going down so big, so early, and you're coming back constantly. Now, granted, it wasn't that type of game, but you understand what I mean. A game like what happened on Monday, and then it just becomes that same exact game tonight, it just wasn't going to happen. We all know this offense. We all know that realistically the starting pitching has to be perfect on most nights or just really, really good on most nights for this offense to realistically have a chance. And the Brewers were not blowing a 6-3 lead. They were not blowing a 6-1 lead. Again, they just weren't doing that, regardless of how many chances the Phillies did have to come back into this game. And it's just not a sustainable thing, a pace that the Phillies were going to be on, and that's just realistic. That's just fact. And it's more on the state of how bad Aaron Nola has been realistically just this entire year. And I was willing to give him the leash that, he was pitching injured in the start of the year. That's why he was so bad. And I was going to give him that leadway. I was excited for him to come back, fully healthy, fully rested, having a lot of time off, rehab starts, and all of that stuff. And then it's just realistically been more of the same, maybe besides like one quality start that he had against the Washington Nationals in his second go around. Besides those, it has not been good. It has not been good. His first start since his first start from his rehab assignment, he had those 2 really good innings against Washington. Then he just completely broke down. The second start that he had against Washington, it was a quality start. The game against Atlanta, he allowed a lot of runs in that first inning as well. Then he eventually did settle into the ball game. And then today was basically just more of the same. He allows a lot of runs early on, does not look good. Yeah, he does settle into the game, but the damage was basically done from there. You can't be allowing 5 earned runs and not recording a single out in that bottom of the first inning and take your team completely out of the ball game. Like I said, that type of impact, that's very demoralizing on a dugout, regardless of how much fight back that they were willing to have tonight. And there has to be a realistic discussion about Aaron Nola if he does continue to pitch like this throughout the rest of September, which at this point it's most likely looking like that's going to be the case unless something miraculous happens and he just completely finds his form again, which at this point I just don't see that happening this year. And I am an Aaron Nola's man. I am an Aaron Nola defender. I'm a big enjoyer of Aaron Nola. Even I can admit at some point when, okay, he just doesn't have it this year. He just completely does not have it this year. He's not going to figure it out this year. We're not going to get traditional Aaron Nola back this year, the good version of Aaron Nola, the Nola that I know he can be. And this is not Aaron Nola. This is not true Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola has never been this bad. He has never been almost 7 ERA bad, unlike some Phillies fans that despise Aaron Nola, and for some reason they think this is the true Aaron Nola. I don't know why people think like that. I don't know why people hate Aaron Nola like he's done something to their family, like something very bad to their family. For some reason, that is a very deep personal hate for Aaron Nola. I just never understood that. I don't know if it goes back to the times where it was the major debate about whether Aaron Nola was an ace or not or something like that. Then you eventually got Zach Wheeler. Then a lot of that pressure probably went down from Aaron Nola from being the #1 starter in the rotation and all that stuff. I don't know where the hate really came for Aaron Nola. I just don't understand it. I don't know why people hate him so much. But as an Aaron Nola defender, I understand right now the hate is warranted, and I understand right now just to admit Aaron Nola most likely is not going to figure it out this season. And I think you're going to need to have a discussion if Aaron Nola does continue to pitch this bad for the rest of the year. There has to be a discussion about, at this point, not even having him on the playoff roster, because you cannot pitch like this in October. You cannot have this quality of pitching in October and expect to succeed, because this is just bad. Very bad. You can't have this version of Aaron Nola pitching in October. At this point, you should just risk all the lefties in a row in your rotation, because that'll probably be 20 billion times better right now than what Aaron Nola is providing you on every 5 days. I'd take those 3 starters, those 3 lefties, and Taijuan Walker in the rotation over this version of Aaron Nola at this point, because that's how bad Aaron Nola has been. It is insane how bad he has been. And I still don't think this is truly who he is, because it's not. Like, career stat-wise would say that is not. Like, this is just a very bad Aaron Nola that just cannot figure it out this year for some reason. Just cannot figure it out. And maybe there is a discussion about, him pitching so many, him logging so many innings for so many years in a row, him basically just being picture perfect health for so many years in a row, being Mr. Reliable, always standing upright and always getting the ball every 5th day and chugging a ton of innings for you. Maybe this year all of that just caught up, especially with the playoff runs combined with all that stuff. Maybe this year for Aaron Nola, it just completely caught up to him. And there's just no figuring it out this year. Not saying that this contract is a disaster like some other Phillies fans and the Aaron Nola haters want to say. I'm not at that point to where saying this contract is a fucking disaster. It just isn't. It's not. There were so many other teams that were willing to pay Aaron Nola the money that the Phillies paid him. Hell, you had a division rival in the Atlanta Braves that were willing to do that as well. So, if you're going to sit here and say that, oh, he would have done this for the Braves, or then those same people like, oh, why didn't you re-sign Aaron Nola? Look how great he's pitching for the Braves right now, or something like that. It's not a disaster of a contract. It's a disaster of a season. It doesn't define an entire contract, because Aaron Nola can come back next year and pitch like his normal self. Now, granted, the haters will say this is his normal self, which is just a complete lie. It's not. Ugh. It's insane. It is insane how bad Nola has been this year. And I'm an Aaron Nola defender, but he's just not figuring it out this year. He is not figuring it out this year. I had a glimmer of hope in that second start that he had against Washington, where you saw the velocity up, where you saw a little bit more of consistency from Nola. But ever since that game, it's really just been more of the same in terms of the bad of Aaron Nola. And he's just doing this on a consistent basis now, to where I just don't think that he's going to figure it out at any point. To where, is it more beneficial? I don't think they're going to do this. That's just where I'm at right now, mentality-wise, with Aaron Nola. I just don't think that there is a full chance of him figuring it out. And honestly, they should shut him down, but they're not going to do that, because that just makes their starting rotation weaker, even though he's hurting the starting rotation, and they're still waiting for Walker Buehler to eventually go through his starts in AAA before he eventually comes up to the big league roster. And granted, we have no idea what to fucking expect from Walker Buehler at that point too, because when he comes into the rotation, it's going to be a 6-man rotation. So I have no idea what fucking point is going to happen there. But my God, your rotation might be fucking royally fucked right now. When Aaron Nola just cannot figure this out, your rotation is probably royally fucked. Because right now there is one guy that you can really rely on a consistent basis, and that's Christopher Sanchez. And even he's going to have his bad starts like he had in that game in New York against the Mets. So I really just don't know where it's going to just fix itself. Now, granted, Luzardo has been better, and that does give me hope for him. But Ranger still has his up and down starts in the second half like he normally does. It's just a very bad thing right now with the Phillies and Aaron Nola, and I just don't know where they figure it out. I don't know how they get around this. I don't know how they get by this because it's a very weird thing right now. It definitely is a very weird thing. So I just don't know what's going to happen at that point, if you understand what I mean. So it's a very interesting thing right now. I apologize. I'm trying to figure out because I can see right here on my OBS that like the connection's going a little bit wonky, so I'm testing it with the VPN. I'm not sure because I had the VPN off usually when I do streams and the connection's fine, but right now the VPN I turned it on. It's just like it's going very wonky right now. So if you guys think the stream quality is fine right now, just let me know in the chat right here. I don't see anything happening on the YouTube side. It still says excellent connection. So it might be just OBS being weird. It might be my computer. And thank God I'm getting a new computer. Thank God I am getting a new computer in the mail, hopefully, very soon. I'm still waiting for it to go through that process. So hopefully I will have that computer before I do go on vacation. Because this computer right now, it's just completely annoying me. I am cutting in and out. Okay. Okay, I am cutting in and out. Yeah, that's sometimes those things just happen with these days with OPS. I don't know why the problem is right now with that. Let me figure out something here. I apologize. This might be more of a shorter stream than what I wanted it to be. Yeah, because right now it's like going green, the red, green, the red, green, the red, and all that crap. It's not consistent. Okay. Okay. I apologize for this. I'm just trying to figure out a consistency with this stream right now. Because right now it's just in 3. It's usually in 4 bar, but for some reason today it's 3 bar. Don't know why. I don't know why. So, okay, now it's back to 4 bar. So maybe doing a little bit. Now it's back to 3 bar. What are we gonna do? We gotta fucking roll with it. Gotta fucking roll with it. This probably will be a shorter stream than not. So, yeah, just going back with everything with Aaron Nola. He just isn't good this year. I just don't think he's figuring it out. He is talking right now in post game, so I guess we'll see if there's any comments on him on Twitter or any quotes that are willing to take away. But it's probably gonna be the same stuff. Obviously, you know what I mean. So it's just weird. It's just weird. It's just like just not good for Aaron Nola. That's basically it. Not a good thing right now for Aaron Nola, and I just don't think that he's gonna figure it out. Just don't think that he's gonna figure it out. So, just looking at this game, looking at the lineup. Trey Turner, he went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Kyle Schwarber, he went over 3 with 2 walks. Bryce Harper went over 3 with a walk and a strikeout. JT, he went 2 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Bohm went over 4. Bader went 1 for 4. Castellanos went 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Sosa went 1 for 4, and Weston Wilson went 1 for 3 with a hit by pitch and his 2-run bomb in this game. And also one thing about Kyle Schwarber. So he wasn't good in the Mets series. He had the 4 home run game in the first game against the Braves. And I think after that he had like 2 hits in the rest of that series. And so far, I don't think he's done anything here against Milwaukee. I don't think he had a hit in Monday's game, if I'm not mistaken. He might have, if I'm not mistaken. I may be blanking that out. No, he did not. No, wait. Click the wrong one. Monday. No, he did not have a hit in that game either. He did not have a hit in that game either. So right now, Kyle Schwarber is 0 for 7 in this series against Milwaukee. And let me see the other games against the Braves. He had 1 hit in the second game. He also had a walk. And in the third game, he had no hits. And in the final game against the Braves, did he have a hit? Did he have a hit in that final game? He did. So Kyle Schwarber, since his 4 home run game, he has 2 hits. He has 2 hits since his 4 home run game. He has been in a very brutal slump, and that's also combined with him not doing anything in that Mets series. A guy that's supposed to be your MVP right now, he's going through a very brutal stretch, and I mean brutal. The 4 home run game was fun. The 4 home run game was all dandy and all that stuff, but right now, the Phillies' most consistent hitter, it's been Trey Turner. It has been Trey Turner. And I know people scoff at that, but Trey Turner realistically, like of the top 3 guys in your lineup, probably for the last like few weeks, Trey Turner has been your most consistent hitter. He has been. And I don't think people give him enough credit for that. And that's just where it is right now. Because he's been doing his job. He's been doing his job. Now, I'm not going to the stretch where he should be MVP conversation type of thing, but he is doing his job. So, yeah, if you look at Trey Turner in his last 30 games, he's batting .349 with a 400 on base and a .543 slug. His last 15 games, .368 average, .394 on base, .603 slug. His last 7 games, .379 average, .419 on base, .552 slug. He's doing his job. And he also, in his last 30 games, he's got 10 walks. So, he's doing his job. He has 11 hits in his last 7 games. He's 11 for 29. I'm not sure if this is factoring in this game. He hasn't struck out that much. He's stealing bases, obviously. He's being a threat and a pest on the base path. I know his defensive woe came up in Monday's game, but realistically, he hasn't been that bad defensively. Yeah, basically for the most part, Turner has been your most consistent guy of the top 3 in this lineup. JT looks like he's going back into a slump again as well, even though he did have 2 hits in this game. But yeah, 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position, and Harper was over 3 in those situations. Turner had the only hit. And then after Aaron Nola, his 5 innings of 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, your bullpen came in. They allowed 2 base runners. They didn't allow a single hit. The Brewers only had 6 hits in today's game. Today's game was definitely winnable. It's just offense wasn't going to come back from that big of a deficit once again, and Aaron Nola is the reason why. And tomorrow definitely doesn't look that big in your favor either, because you're going up against Freddie Peralta, and Freddie Peralta has been very good. Was very good in August. He had like a .39 ERA in August. So that is definitely not guaranteed, and we just don't know what version of Ranger Suarez we're going to get tomorrow afternoon. So you still have a chance to win this series, and if you do win tomorrow, I will take more positives out of this series than not. The lone negative would be Aaron Nola, but you still do have to win tomorrow. Now, granted, most people probably wouldn't be paying attention because tomorrow is Eagles, so that probably gives them a little bit of a leeway, I guess. Also, I would be more focused on Eagles as well. That's probably what tomorrow's focus is going to be on, because tomorrow Phillies are at 4. Game would probably over, I would say around 7, like 7-ish, around that range. Then the Eagles don't play until like 8:20, 8:30, around that range. So yeah, we could still definitely have a Philly stream tomorrow. It would probably be more of a shorter stream than not, just because it's more focused on the Eagles, I would say. And I feel like that's where majority of Philadelphia would be focused at that point. And of course, now my connection has been more stable, so maybe connecting and disconnecting from the VPN was the solution. Interesting. But yeah, it's just it really has not been the best from Aaron Nola. It's crazy. Let's see. What else is there? And obviously after this series, you play in Miami this weekend. So, interesting stuff there. Then obviously it's that big 4-game series against the Mets. And speaking of the Mets, they did lose that series finale against Detroit, but the Mets did end up winning that series 2 games out of 3. And who did the Mets play next? Who did the Mets play this weekend? They play the Reds, and that technically is a big series for them, and also the Reds, because the Reds can try to gain some traction back in that wild card race. Because what's the wild card race looking like right now? Reds are now, they've basically been out of it. They're back at 500. They're 5 games out of that wild card race. But that still is a big series for the Reds if they want to try to get back into the race. The Giants are actually starting to creep up too on that wild card spot. They're 4.5 games out now. They're a game above 500. Even though I don't think the Mets play them at all, and I do. Didn't the Mets get swept? The Mets swept them in San Francisco, and I think the Giants swept the Mets in New York. So I think that season series is tied, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that out. I'm just very curious. Yeah, they got swept by New York in San Fran. Okay, they won 2 of 3. They won 2 of 3 in Citi Field. So the Mets do have that season series. They would have the tiebreaker over them. But the Giants are getting hot. So what's their schedule? So Mets play the Reds next, then the Phillies. What's the Giants looking like? They're playing a series against the Rockies right now, and they won 2 so far, and it looks like they're going to win the third one. They're winning 9-5, so it looks like they're going to sweep that series. They're playing St. Louis next. They're playing Arizona, then the Dodgers, then Arizona, then the Dodgers. So basically just Arizona Dodgers, Cardinals, Rockies. So they're basically playing the same exact teams for the entire month of September. They're playing the same 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. That is weird. That is a weird schedule. That is a weird schedule. I wouldn't say the Phillies can't beat top teams. They could beat top teams. They could beat. They've won a series against the Padres at home. They beat the Cubs twice. They won both of those series. They beat the Yankees in a series. They beat the Red Sox in a series. They swept Seattle. What else? They also won a series against the Dodgers. I would say the only top team they cannot beat is the Brewers. And if you want to consider the Mets a top team as well, they can't beat the Mets in Citi Field. They won a series at home. So that's realistically it. The Phillies have done their fair share of beating the top teams in the league. And I guess you want to say they got split by Houston. That's the only other team they can't beat. They can't beat the Brewers, even though they won 1 game in this series, but they got swept at Citizens Bank Park. They do have a chance to win the series tomorrow. They won a series against the Dodgers. Still have to get to play the Dodgers until the end of the month again. They won 1 series against San Diego and lost a series against San Diego. They won both of their series against Chicago. They got swept in both series in Citi Field, but they won a series in Philadelphia. They swept the Mariners, lost a series, got swept by the Astros, won a series against the Tigers, and they actually swept Toronto in Philadelphia. So that there's also something there, but they also did lose a series in Toronto, but they also did sweep Toronto. Won a series against the Yankees and won a series against Boston. So they can beat top teams. So that is just factually wrong. Yeah, they did. I mentioned they got swept by the Mets twice. I know that. I've experienced that. I've went on rants about that. Would I consider the Mets a better team than the Phillies? No. I think the Mets are worse than the Phillies. I think their pitching is worse than the Phillies. Now, granted, they called up 2 young studs. Is that going to save their season? Probably not. Because, now, granted, their offense is hot right now. Is that going to carry along? Because their offense has been very hot, cold. Their offense has been basically Philly-esque. Hot and cold. And now their bullpen is just bad. Their bullpen acquisitions have just been bad. Specifically Helsley. Helsley has been garbage. Like that was garbage. Yeah. So the statement about the Phillies can't beat top teams, that's just factually wrong. That is just factually wrong. What else is there? What else is there? Yeah. Agree to disagree. I don't think the Mets are better than the Phillies, even though I'm not as high on the Phillies either. I think both teams just suck. I think both teams' flaws outweigh their positives, in my personal opinion. I think that's just what I feel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Pretty much it for today. there's really not much else. Rob Thompson did speak. He says he still has confidence in Nola. Yeah, like, you are entitled to your own opinion, D-Rails. You are also entitled to your own opinion. See, Phillies fan, Mets fan, we could be respectful. We could be respectful. And agree to disagree. We could be respectful here. Not always a back and forth of hatred. Even though I do hate your guts for being a Mets fan. That's just guaranteed. That's just granted. Like, you probably hate my guts for being a Phillies fan. that just goes with the contract. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else. I really have not seen anything else. Yeah, really not much. So, tomorrow is the series finale. I hope Suarez keeps up with Peralta. I hope to. I hope to. I just don't know what version of Ranger we're getting tomorrow. I really don't know. It's either the really good Ranger or the Ranger that gets hit around. He got hit around, even though he only allowed 1 earned run against the Braves. He allowed 10 hits. He allowed 10 hits. So, I don't know. What is the Brewers' record against left-handed pitchers this year? What is the Brewers' record against lefties? Okay, they dominate lefties. They're 27-14. Holy shit. So, tomorrow night not be in our favor. Just being honest. Just being honest. So, we'll see. We'll see. But tomorrow, obviously, is definitely heavily Eagles focused. If I feel like doing a recap tomorrow, I will do a recap tomorrow on the Phillies, but it'll be, like I said, it'll be more focused on the Eagles tomorrow night, because obviously, first game, kickoff, Dallas, all that stuff. So we'll see where we're just at. We have nothing here on the Anytime Hotline, so I'm assuming most of those guys are also just more focused on the Eagles as well, which makes sense. So, we'll see. But I appreciate you guys joining in regardless. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. And also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Great deal. Don't pass it up. Especially with football season already starting. Your tickets might be expensive, but at least $20 off can help you with that. Your first purchase, by the way. You can always do the loophole where create new accounts, keep using it. New account, use the code. Could always be one of those. It's one way to get around the loophole. So yeah. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Most all for Birds, maybe for Phillies. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Depends on the game. So